Welcome back, students. Let us now go over to the second half of Chapter 2, Numerical Descriptive Statistics. We have these sections, Section 2.3 to 2.7, but the last one, 2.7, I'll cover it only if I have time to cover, otherwise I'm going to skip it. It's not that important. Among 2.3 to 2.6, let's see. 2.3 measures of central tendency, mean, median, those are important. Mode and mid-range, they're not that important. 2.4 measures of dispersion. The most important there is standard deviation. The others, not very much. 2.5 measures of position. There's something called quartiles. They are important, and to a certain degree, percentiles are important. And of course, there's something called 5-number summary. As the name suggests, it's a summary of entire data set. That's an important one. 2.6, interpreting and understanding standard deviation. That's a kind of preparation toward inferential statistics. So by itself, it's not that interesting, but it's served as a preparations for what to come. Okay, that was a brief preview, and let's go over to the topics with my notebook, and here it is. The first concept is the mean. Oh, pretty simple. Just add up everything and divide by the total number of items. x1 plus x2 all the way up to xn divided by xn. If there are a lot of repetitions, then it is a little bit more convenient to use frequency. x1 plus x1 plus x1 all the way f1 times. Usually f1 times x1 is easier to compute. And then do the same thing. x2 is repeated f2 times, then multiply f2, and do all those kind of things with frequencies. Divide everything by the total number of items. Well, that's a mean. This way or that way is the same deal. Well, here's an example. Mean of, okay, that's why we get decimal. And this data set, by the way, is the same data set that we had been working on, exam data set that I actually had several semesters ago. Let's discuss median. And median is also important, and median means the middle number. How do you get the median? Well, here's a mechanism. Sort out the data, and then knock off the smallest and largest. Repeat it. Continue until there's only 1 or 2 left. Kind of like this. Data is already sorted out. Smallest 33, largest 94, cross them out. And then next, 58 and 88, cross those out. And continue, 64, 86, cross those out. And cross, get everything off until only 1 is left, 77, and that is a median. So if you have a data that is already sorted out, then finding out a median is very, very easy thing to do. And of course, if you have really numerous data, then you'll have to use technology. And I just use Mathematica to do that. Median of the data you can find out like this. This is typically the case if you have odd number of data, we have a middle number. What if you have the middle number? What if you have the even number of data? Well, this is what you're going to get. Knock off the smallest and the largest, and again smallest and the largest of the remaining, and then we're going to get now 2 numbers left. And we have to take average of those 2 numbers, and not coincidentally that is the same as the median, 3.807. Duh, that's the way the median was defined. So if you have odd number of data, knock off, then you're going to get, in the end, just a certain entry. If you have an even number of data, then you're going to get 2 numbers in the end, and the middle of those 2, the average of those 2 will be the median. One interesting aspect of the median is that it is not affected by outliers. What about the outlier? Well, here's an example. We have the same data set that we dealt with before. We have the mean and median. And let's create an outlier. 4.127, change this into 400.127. Let's suppose that somebody made a mistake entering and created something like this. and the mean is affected by this outlier. But median is not, because if you cross out the smallest and largest, this 400 thingy is just gone. And then the next gone, and we have just these two numbers as before. So median is useful when outliers are expected. And typical case in everyday life that we have to consider median, well, if you use household incomes or home prices in a certain neighborhood, you don't usually use mean. It's often meaningless. Median is a lot better. And if you go over to websites, some real estate website, then you'll be able to find out median home prices of a certain neighborhood. You can easily find out. We use median, not mean. And why? Well, we just saw it in action, outlier. Okay, so much for central tendency. There are mode and okay, what is a mode? Mode is most frequent entry is mode. In this particular case, no, let's open this one up. In this particular case, 77 appears 4 times. That's the most frequent. So 77 is the mode. But that's not really important, at least in my opinion, and I have never written any question about mode, and I'm not about to start now. Another thing, mid-range. This one is defined by the small average of smallest and the largest. In this example, the smallest is 33 and largest 94, and then the average of those two, so I have to divide by 2, and if you calculate, you're going to get something. That's called a mid-range. But I don't like mid-range very much, and I'll talk about the reason later. It has also something to do with outliers. Instead, let's go over to something important. Quartiles. What is a quartile? It's kind of like median, but repeated. Here's a mechanism to find out a quartile. Here's a data set, and then, well, knock off the smallest and largest, smallest and largest, smallest and largest, throw everything away, and what's left is the median. 77 is the median. Now what do we do? Exclude this median and get the lower half. And do the same thing. Find out the median of the lower half. Knock off the smallest, largest, smallest, largest, smallest, largest until you get to the middle number. And that'll turn out to be the first quartile, Q1. We took the median and the lower half and median of that again. So basically it's 1/4. Median is a half. And median, 1/2 of lower half, so it's 1/4. You can do the same thing to upper half. Excluding this median, 77, take the upper half and do the same thing. Throw away the smallest, largest, smallest, largest, smallest, largest until you have one number left. And that is Q3, third quartile. Actually, this corresponds to 3/4. Now, what if you have even number of points left in the end? Well, the same thing. There's 2 numbers are left. Take the average of those 2, and then you're going to get Q1 and Q3 respectively. What if you begin with even number of points to begin with, kind of like this? Well, let's see. Take the median and throw away smallest, largest, smallest, largest, and then you're going to get these 2 numbers. And the average of those 2, the middle of those 2 will be the median, and that's 3.807 here. And 3.807 belongs to the middle of those 2 numbers. So excluding that, these 3 numbers is lower half, 3.275, 3.492, and so on. And get the median of those 3 numbers, which is what? 3.492. That is Q1. How about the upper half? Well, those 3 are upper half. And you can do the same thing. draw away the smallest, largest until you get the final number, the median of upper half. That's Q3. As a matter of fact, Q1, Q2, Q3 are first quartile, second quartile, which is the same as median, and the third quartile. And if you use Mathematica, you can find out those three by quartiles command. Q1, Q2, Q3. Q2 is the median. There is an advanced aspect of quartiles, by the way. There is another way to get quartiles when there are odd number of data, and how do you deal with those is another topic, but that's something I'm going to discuss in a separate video as an optional topic. But it is to a certain degree necessary, because if you want to use Excel to calculate quartiles, you'll have to go through this. And I'm going to talk about it in a separate video along with Excel demonstration. Okay, next topic, percentile. Okay, percentile is actually an extension of quartiles. We say X is pth percentile if the proportion of the elements of the data value less or less is p%. So Q1 is 25th percentile. There, a quarter of data are less than Q1, or roughly speaking, which is 25%. Median is 50th percentile. Half the numbers are less than median, the other half is bigger, so this 50th percentile. Likewise, you can consider 33rd percentile. 33% of the numbers are below that, the other two-thirds are above. Or you can think about something like 95th percentile. 95% of all those numbers are below you, and the other 5% is above. For example, if you get some, SAT score or something from National Library, and then you want to score something like 95th percentile or 97th percentile, something like that. And you don't want to score something like 13th percentile or something like that. And let's see, if they are parents and have gone to baby's well-child checkups, then you must have seen whether your baby is in what percentile in terms of their growth. And for example, if your son or daughter is in 75th percentile for height and 80th percentile for weight, he or she is growing very well, you can be happy about it. If she is in, say, 12th percentile in terms of weight, there's some concern because she's not developing or she's not growing very well, and she have maybe some malnutrition issue, things like that. So percentiles are a bit more general concept. However, how do you find out percentile is very different issue. That's something you're going to be doing in chapter 5 or later, I think, or chapter 6 or later, I think. Next, we have to talk about something called the 5-number summary, but I'd rather do that in a separate video, in the next video, excuse me, because this is going to be long, important topic.